So the Pixel Watch is Google's first attempt at a wearable, boasting fantastic integration with its own apps and services, ideal for Android users. So you can leave your smartphone stuffed in your jeans or bag a lot more of the time and just spend all of your time staring at your wrist instead. The Pixel Watch will cost you £349 if you just want the Wi-Fi model, otherwise it's £379 if you want some LTE action chucked in there as well, and both versions are therefore priced in between Samsung's Galaxy Watch 5 and the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Now, I've had the Pixel Watch slapped on my wrist for over a week now, so here's my in-depth review to see if it's actually worth that price. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, what do you actually get inside of this lovely white box besides the watch? Well, not that much really. You get a quick start guide, you get the charge and dock, which is a Type-C USB effort, but no adapter. You'll have to provide your own or just plug into a laptop or whatever. And you get both small and large bands bundled in there. And that's your whack. Now I've got to say, as someone who's not a massive fan of massive smartwatches, I am definitely a fan of the Google Pixel Watch design. That circular frame constructed from recycled stainless steel is pleasingly compact. And you've got it in a choice of 3 different colors. This is black. You can also grab it in silver or gold if you want something a bit brighter. And it's capped here with custom curved Gorilla Glass. And so far, touch lots of wood, that glass is completely untainted with scratches, but it has just been a week and I've been pretty careful with this thing. It ain't gonna be as tough as Sapphire screen, so it might dink up a bit, but you just gotta hope for the best. Of course, that situation definitely isn't helped by the fact that there's no protective bezels jutting out just to keep the screen safe from harm. And the Pixel Watch isn't just tiny, it's also super lightweight at just 36 grams, not counting the fluoro elastomer straps, which add a few extra grams on. So you can comfortably rock it on your wrist all day, every day. I say rock it on your wrist all day, every day. You'll be taking it off every 5 seconds to charge the bugger, but more on all that fun in a bit. For the wristband, well, as you can see, I've got the highly exciting combination here of black on black, but you can also grab grey, white and hazel bands, although the colour you get will depend on the colour of the frame that you go for. And as I mentioned before, you get both small and large bands bundled in the box, and that large really is large, so no worries at all if you've got arms like f***ing tree trunks. The Pixel Watch has an unusual catch system. It felt kind of awkward at first to snap these on and off with a quirky little twist, but you kind of get the hang of it eventually, sort of. Now, fluoro elastomer material feels nice and soft against the skin, so the Pixel Watch is comfortable to wear. Not quite again all day, every day, because you'll have to actually power it up again. But I certainly didn't develop any hideous rashes or anything like that, so that's a bonus, I guess. The Pixel Watch is water resistant to 5 atmospheres, so handy if you do a good bit of snorkeling at the weekend. Seem perfectly happy to be taken into the bath, the shower, even a bit of steam room action. So setting up this smartwatch nice and easy via Google's imaginatively titled Pixel Watch app. They pair up instantly via Bluetooth, and I had no issues with connectivity the entire time I've been reviewing the Pixel Watch. It stayed connected to my smartphone the entire time. And that app isn't just used for setup, it can be used to toggle basically pretty much all of the settings here on the watch. So for instance, you can add more watch faces if you want. It tells you exactly what you've got on there. If you go to add new, you've got a pretty decent selection of stuff to choose from, a mixture of analog and digital. There's nothing particularly thrilling or innovative beyond a couple of sort of weird artistic-y ones. No animated efforts like what you'd get on the likes of the Samsung Galaxy Watch, for instance, but you can at least chuck your own photos on there direct from Google Photos, up to 30 in a slideshow fashion. Unfortunately, you can't actually edit these photos in the Pixel Watch app, for instance, to crop them down a bit so you've got an entire face in frame and not a load of background crap. You will have to go into the Google Photos app, edit them there, and then go back into the Pixel Watch to import. In here, you can also select exactly which tiles are displayed when you're flicking left and right on your Pixel Watch. You've got a decent little selection here, plenty of stuff that you can add in, and of course you can remove any that you don't want as well. And you can play around with all of the other watch settings, including setting up exactly which apps will give you a little buzz on the wrist. And your other preferences, including will you use a pin to unlock the watch, which you'll have to do if you want to use Google Pay. All the display settings, there's lots of stuff to tinker around with. Speaking of display settings, segue, the 1.2-inch AMOLED screen is as crisp and as poppy as any rival out there. But it is also undeniably weeny, so if your eyesight ain't quite what it used to be, well, maybe you might want to look at a bigger smartwatch option instead. And yeah, that screen is unfortunately surrounded by bezels the size of Bulgaria, which is masked pretty well on a lot of the watch face options, and then on others it's pretty freaking obvious. Thankfully the UI is pretty dark, so it's not too obvious at all when you are just flicking around using the watch generally, and after a while you just kind of get used to it. That's about as kind as I can be here. So 320 pixel per inch resolution display though, 450 by 450, so nice crisp text and visuals. And this thing maxes out at 1000 nits as well, so nice and bright, absolutely fine for visibility when you're outdoors, even if you live somewhere sunny, I would imagine. And the auto brightness has been absolutely fine this past week as well, no complaints. Now, thanks to those Samsung Galaxy watches, the latest version of Wear OS is already pleasingly familiar. Simply flick left and right and you'll be able to access all of your tiles that you've got set up. You can also reorder and reconfigure these directly on the watch. You can move these things around, you can remove them and add in new ones. Overall, these are pretty good. You can tap into them in order to get more information if you want a full-on breakdown of how many steps you've done or not done, in my case. And these are dynamic as well, so they will update to be more useful. For instance, the exercise tile updates with your most preferred forms of exercise. Most preferred are the ones that are actually supported by the Pixel Watch, of course. They don't have pint lifting on there just yet. At any point, just push in that crown in order to get back to the main watch face, and then from here you can scroll down to access all of your toggles and settings. Quite a lot of stuff to play around with here. You can quickly set an alarm, for instance, see how much battery life you've got remaining, chuck it into night mode so you're not disturbed while you're having your bit of slumber. You even get a torch on the go, which isn't the most effective here on the Pixel Watch as it is so tiny, but it's better than nothing. And you also have fast access to Google Home and Google Wallet via here. And you can also scroll in the opposite direction in order to access your notifications. And in Wear OS, if you're an Android user, the notification support is fantastic. You can practically read an entire message and then reply using your voice, using an on-screen keyboard, various presets, or just straight up delete it if you want to. Your recent apps can be accessed by pushing in this little mini button up top. Otherwise, alternatively, you can access a full list of apps by pushing in that crown. And I'd imagine the majority of owners will be happy with the list of apps that you get pre-installed here on the Pixel Watch. You've got all the usual fitness shenanigans, more on that in a bit. You've got your timers, your alarms. You've got your Google Wallet shenanigans, although if you want to pay for stuff with your smartwatch, you do have to set up a screen lock for extra security. The turn-by-turn directions via Google Maps is very useful when you're on foot and trying to find a bar or a cafe or whatever without constantly pulling your phone out. You can flick between the next direction and a mini-map of your route, which works surprisingly well on that dinky display. You do have full smart home control here via Google Home as well, although this is rather limited. You can essentially turn lights on and off, and that's basically it. You can't stream video from your Nest doorbell or other cameras, you can't change up the light colors, you'll have to do all of that via your smartphone. So personally, I didn't really use this feature at all because I've got Alexa and Google speakers that I can just yell at to turn the lights on and off anyway. On the flip side, if you don't want one of those speakers in your house for, privacy concerns or whatever else, then this is a viable option. Oh, and do you want to download songs onto your Pixel Watch? Well, you'll have to be a YouTube Music subscriber. Yeah, sorry about that. And the Pixel Watch also comes with an emergency SOS feature. Just quickly push in that crown 5 times or more to start an emergency call. And if all these features still ain't enough for you, well, no worries at all. At any point, you can jump on into the Google Play Store right here on the Pixel Watch and download some fresh new apps. You've got up to 32 gigs of storage to play around with. You've also got full Google Assistant support via the Pixel Watch, and you don't even need to push buttons or tweak dials or anything like that to call her up. All you need to do is say, "Hey, when is Sunderland Football Club playing their next match?"
Sunderland will be playing Wigan Athletic on Saturday at 3 p.m.
It's certainly not the loudest smartwatch speaker around, but then the Pixel Watch is quite dinky, to be fair. The mic seems perfectly sensitive and good enough to pick up your voice and exactly what you're saying, even in quite a noisy environment. But if you're actually trying to listen to the other end of a phone call in the middle of a high street or somewhere where there's traffic going by, well, good luck. It's also worth mentioning that the performance comes courtesy of one of Samsung's Exynos 9110 chipsets. It's backed here by 2 gigs of RAM on the Pixel Watch, and the performance this past week has been absolutely fine. I haven't really seen much at all in the way of like little judders or stumbles. Everything's pretty fluid. Now, if you're a fan of exercise and all that kind of shenanigans, well, Fitbit health features have been directly integrated into the Pixel Watch, so you can keep track of exactly what's going on with that sack of flesh and bones of yours. There's a Fitbit sensor built into the bottom end of this watch that can track your heart rate 24 hours. You can also keep tabs on your rest and heart rate, which is always important. And if you fancy some more detailed heart analysis, there is also an ECG app that you can get on the go. For the exercise tracking, there are 40 different workout modes that you can get on the go. Not as many as some rivals, of course, which boast over 100 different workout modes, but a lot of those are much of a muchness, plus you get random stuff like board games chucked in there for some reason. And here on the Pixel Watch, all of the main stuff is covered off, so you've got your swimming, your walking, your running, your gym shenanigans, yoga, all that kind of stuff. When you start off one of these workouts, you do get real-time feedback as you're going along, as you can see there, how long you've been going, number of calories burned, etc, etc. And then once you're done, just swipe this away and you can pause your workout or just straight up end it. And then you get a full recap of exactly how awesome your exercise was. Looks pretty similar to a lot of my efforts. And then if you log into the Fitbit app on your smartphone, you can get a more detailed breakdown of all of your exercise sessions and see previous sessions that you've done over the past few days, weeks, etc. The Pixel Watch is actually really good at automatically detecting any exercise that you're doing, so walks and runs, but even aerobic workouts as well. So feasibly, you don't even really need to bother manually setting up an exercise, just have your Pixel Watch on your wrist and it will do everything for you. You get a 6-month free trial of Fitbit Premium with the Pixel Watch. This includes hundreds of video workouts and mindfulness sessions, which can help you to chill out when you're freaking out about how f***ed up everything is. And this even comes packing some healthy recipe ideas. Cucumber crackers 3 ways, sign me right the f*** up. Parmesan and vegetable muffin tin omelettes. They definitely don't look like something a dog just coughed up. Bear in mind, however, once your trial is up, you will have to stop paying a tenner a month if you want to continue the Fitbit Premium, or alternatively, you could just realize, yeah, we're all going to die one day, what's the point, and just put that money towards whiskey and fags instead. And like pretty much every smartwatch out there, you've also got in-depth sleep tracking here on the Pixel Watch. And this can be quite hit and miss on smartwatches. Here on the Pixel Watch, still not entirely sure. It seems to think that I wake up an awful lot during the night, like basically every few minutes. I mean, sure, I was awake a couple of times last night, thanks to my annoyingly weak bladder or having to stop my cats from disemboweling some poor woodland creature in the middle of the carpet. But I certainly don't recall being awake a good couple of dozen times. But it's pretty interesting stuff. You can see how long you were in really deep sleep with a sleeping heart rate, how much time you spent tossing and turning, all that good stuff. Lots of tips and tricks to get a better night's sleep. And Google bills the Pixel Watch as having all-day battery life, and that does basically mean what it sounds like. You will be charging it every damn day. And unfortunately, the recharging speed's not the fastest either. So for instance, I'd chuck it on to charge in the morning when I got up, go, have a shave, powder my nose. By powder my nose, I don't mean do a whole bunch of coke. Don't do that first thing in the morning, or indeed at any point of the day, just like to point out. And by the time I'd had a shower and everything as well, generally it charged up around 50%. That's over the course of about sort of 20-25 minutes. If you want to get a completely full charge out of this thing when it is drained, it will take over an hour, so not ideal. But to be fair though, the battery situation is the only reason I'm hesitating to fully, wholeheartedly recommend the Google Pixel Watch, because apart from that, it's an absolute blinder. Good value for money. You've got some excellent integration with all of the best Android features. Really have enjoyed using it. It's just a shame that you have to charge it every single day for at least an hour, in which case, if that's going to be a deal breaker, you've got the likes of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, which can tend to go 2 to 3 days between charges. Otherwise, the likes of the Ticwatches, the Huawei watches, Amazfit watches, shenanigans like that. So anyway, that's what I think of the Google Pixel Watch. Are you tempted? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And do have yourselves a really wonderful rest of the week. Cheers!